Welcome back, everybody. Today we are dealing with chapter 2, which is the sales process. So, again, here's the list of what to expect. We're going to be looking at how to create a customer. We're going to be looking at two different sales form, right? We're going to be looking at what a sales receipt does and what an invoice does. We're also going to be looking at where the money goes and what you do with it. Okay? So with that being said, make sure that if you are following along with me, you're going to be opening your sales 18, okay? Portable file sales 18, right? So again, when we talk about sales, it is pretty straightforward when it comes to sales, right? Because majority of all activities of business activities have some kind of relationship to selling a product or selling a service, all right? For manufacturing, same thing, you're selling the item that you produced. So sales is going to be one of the biggest components as far as QuickBooks goes, because the one thing that you need to have is you need to have a large clientele list for you to be successful in business, okay? That's our main goal. Our main goal is to make money, and this is how we're doing it. So, what are the two ways that you can collect money from your customers? So there's a brief little table here to tell you the difference between the two different types of customers that you will have. So very similar to vendors, you're going to have your cash customers and you're also going to have your credit customers. So again, your cash customers is going to be dealing with a sales receipt. All right. So down here, there's a definition to say that a sales receipt is only used when a customer pays you at time of transaction or at time of sale. Where invoices, when you think about an invoice, you typically bill people, right? So therefore, you're not expecting them to pay right away. You're expecting them to pay after the transaction has already occurred, okay? So that's the real two definitions and the two ways that you can collect your money, okay? Often, cash customers are pretty straightforward, right? You receive cash, check, credit card, or even an electronic funds transfer. That's going to be considered a cash customer, right? The day that the transaction happens and you receive one of those four methods, then you're going to record it as a sales receipt. But when we talk about invoices, right? Invoices, you can also accept all four. However, they don't pay you until afterwards. So you bill them, they get invoiced, you may have to wait 30 days, and then if they pay you, then they pay you. Now you have to remember the risk of billing and invoicing your customers is you have a possibility that they will not pay. So, and we'll talk about that section in chapter 3, what happens if a customer doesn't pay? So with that being said, those are the two different types of sales forms that you can use to record a transaction. All right. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce you to the customer center. Okay. So again, just like the vendor center, you have a customer center, okay? Notice that we started from the top. Now we're working our way in the middle. And at the end of this, the next couple weeks, we'll start working our way to the bottom of this chart. So as you can see on the home page, here is the actual flow of transaction, right? Especially when you're dealing with your customers. Your customers are all revolving your sales. So as you can see, we'll start from here, is that you'll get an estimate. Now, an estimate is pretty much similar to like a quote, right? best way to shop is to call the vendor or even research the vendor and seeing which one can, produce you a service that's in your range of prices that you feel comfortable to pay, right? The concept of how much are you willing to pay for a service or a product, okay? So that's really similar, is that you have an estimate. It's not required to utilize unless, you have a set amount and stuff, and when you have your customers come in, you can only have them come in to buy something from you. You can't give them a quote or anything. But because we are a service provider, we provide photo shoots. That is exactly why we have estimates as availability, because a lot of times your customers are going to want to know, well, what is the rate for a photo shoot, and does it vary on location, where I'm at, what I'm doing, etc., etc. And then they can explore all the packages that you offer, okay? But the main thing that we want to look at is when you want to create your invoices, okay? So obviously, if you're going to create a quote for them, you can easily transfer the information to create an invoice, all right? And if we follow the arrow along, the next thing is receiving payments, okay? And when you receive payments, the last thing it goes is it drops it into undeposited funds, okay? Now, if we're looking at a sales receipt, right? If the transaction has occurred and someone paid you, it's right here and it automatically goes straight to the undeposited funds, okay? We'll talk about statements in Chapter 3. And we'll talk about statement charges in Chapter 3 as well, okay? So now that we got to see the flow of transaction, we're going to go ahead and look at the customer center. So again, by clicking that customer tab right there, you can adjust your screen accordingly. So again, similar, if not identical to your vendor's list. You have a list of all your customers here with their associated balances, right? You have general information. If you click on, let's say, for example, I click on Mr. Bob Mason. He's our friend of ours. You could see a quick synopsis or summary of his information right here. And you can also take a look at all of his transactions. If I click all, boom. Those are all the transactions that we have. So he currently owes us a lot of stuff because we've sent him out some bills prior to our lesson. Okay, so this is a preset file. So here we've charged him a few invoices, sent him a few invoices. So he owes us in grand total $11,776. Okay. So again, straightforward, same thing as what we learned in Chapter 7, Chapter 4, which was yesterday, when we enter in everything in regards to a customer, okay? Now, of course, when we introduce you to the customer center, of course, I have to have you guys be able to recognize the income tracker, okay? It's, again, same thing as a bill tracker, but in this case, it keeps track of all of your invoices, okay? Here, same thing. You have how many people owe you in total. You have how many people that are invoices that are past due and how many actually had paid you, okay? You have the same and similar list of transactions. As you can see, by me pulling this up, you could do estimates as well, invoices, sales receipts, etc., etc. Okay? You can even receive payments too. So make sure you make note that an income tracker will be one of the steps for you to access a transaction. Okay? So again, this gives you a whole list in one sheet, and you'd be able to tell which ones are due right now and which ones are, that are pending. Okay? So that is useful information here. All right, so now the first thing is we got to set up our customer center. Or the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to enter in a customer. But let's go ahead and explore how many ways we can get to the customer center. There are 3 ways you can get to the customer center. Pretty straightforward, same thing, just like vendors. You have the home page right here, okay? You have the customers on the icon bar. Okay, so let me see, customers on your icon bar. And of course, if you go all the way up to the top and click customers, customer center is going to be the first one. All right, now that's just how to get to the customer center. Now, how to enter in a new customer, there's only the exact 3 ways, right? How to get to the customer center in order for you to enter a new customer. So if we explore our options, so again, if you go to customers, there is no new customer list on there. There is the customer center. So if I go there, so the 3 ways that we got to the customer center, and same thing, you either go up to the top and go click new customer or job, and you add the customer. Once you're in the customer center, you could right click anywhere and be able to add a new customer. All right? Pretty straightforward. There's only 2 ways that you can do, or 3 ways if you're using the home page. Home page, customer center, new customer. Icon bar, customer center, new customer. Menu bar, customer center, new customer. Okay? Once you get to the customer center, there's the new customers, or you can right click on the customer list. So that's how you enter a new customer in. And since I'm already here, I'm going to go ahead and create a new customer. Okay? So when we are filling a customer's information, it's going to be quite different than a vendor, right? Vendors, they give you payment options, they give you other things that are in regards to what accounts they're associated with, etc., etc. For a customer, it's pretty much what is their contact information, and secondly, it's what method are they willing to pay us for, and what terms do we allow them to have. So they're similar in an aspect where you're getting the same contact information. However, one of them is how you're going to pay them, and the other one is how they are going to pay you. So at a customer standpoint, let's go ahead and get started on filling this customer's information. So again, same thing here. You can choose a customer name, or you could choose when you want them to start being your customer. So again, this is only necessary if you've had previous transactions with this customer. But if not, then you can obviously use the date that you actually have your first transaction with them. All right. So company name. Now, oftentimes your customers, they will not have their own company name, okay? But if you do encounter a vendor who is also a customer, then you're gonna have to use a slightly different name. You cannot have 2 of the same contact information if you're dealing with a customer or vendor. However, if they are the same person, you just have to do a little different variations when it comes to creating the actual contact information. Like, for example, for my vendors, I could say I have Bob Mason V for a vendor, Bob Mason C as a customer. You cannot have 2 of the same exact names in a QuickBooks file. Okay, so make sure that you understand that. So with that being said, we don't have a company name for this individual, okay? And let me go ahead and double confirm with you guys what page I am on. So here, we're on page 34. So I need you guys to help me fill out this information. So again, no company name. It's just an individual. Date doesn't matter unless you have a transaction. So again, company name doesn't matter. Full name. This is doctor. Okay, so we have a customer who's a doctor. Doctor. First name should be Tim. And I don't know if he has a middle name.
Yes.
He does. S. And his last name is Feng. 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 Okay. All right, so the next thing is going to be, what is his job title?
Owner.
Okay. I don't know what he's the owner of, but he doesn't have a company. All right. So what about his main phone number? I think it's
408-555-9268.
9268. Perfect. Okay. Then, of course, it's if he has a work phone number or a mobile phone number, the more better, the more the merrier. Fax number 2, if you're faxing invoices to your customers, which you shouldn't. You should just mail it. Okay. Does he have an email? Okay.
drf@df.biz. B-I-Z.
At df.biz. Okay. So I'm assuming his website is dfbiz. Okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. So once we filled out the basic information, which is obviously just the telephone and the person's name. So now it's going to be, well, if he's going to be a potential customer and he wants to be a credit customer, I need to know his address. So his address is going to be
300 North First Street. San Jose. Nine five one three six.
94.
95136.
Okay, good. So again, once you have that, I believe the next section says that you can use this copy because maybe his billing address is going to be the same as his mailing address or shipping address, right? You could put a note here. It's not necessary unless you want to address that this is his actual home or this is his location. But I'm going to go ahead and click OK. It's not necessary. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So there you go. And use this as default shipping address. Yes. Okay. So again, you can ship to other locations, of course. You a lot of oftentimes maybe someone likes to be billed at their home location, but maybe they're currently staying somewhere for the time being, so they need a shipment. So they'll send it to whatever location that you want to do. So yes, you can have multiple locations, and here will be the drop down menu on how many locations you can send them to. So again, you can enter in multiple addresses if necessary. But in this case, he only has one address, okay? So we're only gonna have shipping number 1. Right? Don't click the OK button just yet because we're not done with Mr. Tim, okay? But let's say you do accidentally press it, right? Of course, you can obviously edit Tim whenever you want. You could just either right click it and click edit, or if you go on his little page, up at the icon here, you have this little pencil, and you'd be able to click that and be able to edit his information at any given time. So oftentimes why you would edit this is in case this Tim Fang decides to move, right? Or his phone number has changed. Other things could be his credit card expired. So you have to give him he has to give you his new credit card information, okay? So again, now that we completed the very first general piece of information, next one is going to be payment options. Okay, so this is where locking up your QuickBooks is extremely important, especially if you are collecting confidential information such as your customers' credit card information. That is so sensitive, you know? So again, especially when you're using QuickBooks to your advantage and they are a credit customer, you definitely want to make sure that you save their information because it will become tedious to have to re-enter their credit card or require your customer to re-enter their credit card information over and over and over again, okay? So if you have it on file, make sure that you lock your QuickBooks stuff. They're going to require you to lock it anyway. Okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is for under payment settings is what is his account number?
3546.
3546. Good. Next is payment terms. Do we give him any payment terms?
Net 30.
Net 30?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't even give our customers any discounts. Okay? What about credit limits? Do we give Mr. Tim Fang a credit limit?
Yeah.
6,000?
8,000.
Oh, 8,000. Okay. All right. And price level. Okay, so again, there are different ways that you can charge your customers, right? You can charge them based on commercial, residential, standard, out of state. You can charge them at a certain different percentage level, meaning, obviously when you make purchases of your inventory, you want to sell to your customers at some sort of percentage. If it's someone else who's an independent contractor or someone who goes to you to buy supplies, obviously you would give them a different type of payment, right? You give them a lower price. But for this one, that's what price levels are. It's grouping your individuals based on what kind of vendor, what kind of customer type they are. And based on that, so are they just a regular customer? Are they a 1099 contractor that's buying supplies from you? Are they buying in bulk? Because oftentimes if they buy in bulk, you could give them a discount, right? So in this case, he's just a regular customer. Okay, so now that we've finished the terms, now the preferred delivery method. Okay. Well, this is the delivery method, okay? The payment, okay, so preferred payment method, okay? So here we can choose how often or how does Mr. Tim Feng pay? And in this case, he pays by Visa. Okay, so he pays by Visa. All right. Once we've done that, now here's the credit card information. So what is the credit card number?
1234, 1234, 1234, 1234.
Or 1234.
Okay, good. Okay, when's the expiration date?
01
2020.
2020.
Okay, and name on the card.
Team S Peng.
Okay, and any addresses or zip code.
300 and First Street.
Okay, so because I've entered this in before in the previous section, as you could see, I just clicked in there and it automatically filled. So that could be a bonus or it could be a, negative. Okay, so again, online payments. Do you want to use a credit card when they do online payments, or do you accept only bank transfers? We can accept credit cards. Okay, so I'm gonna say no, because it's gonna tell me to go on to the internet to finish this part. So no, but if you do set up your internet, make sure what you're gonna do is you're gonna be setting up your online payments on whatever website that you host. Right. So now the next one is going to be sales tax and services. So of course, all things are going to be at the tax level. Out of state, I don't believe so. What is he? Santa Clara? Okay. And then the last one is going to say, is there a resale number? I don't think it's necessary. Okay. Now we have the next section, which is going to be additional information. So here, as you can see, we've already have built in one such as a customer type and a representative. So a customer type, right? You can, like I said, we were talking about price levels, right? Customers type is going to be falling in under a similar category, right? You can group your customers based on what they are, okay? And like how you provide them either a product, good, or service. So they have business, they have from advertising, individual. So this is like, for example, right? I'll use PETA for example. Most of our customers are from One Stop. You can create it like that. You can segregate them and, place them in certain categories if they belong into certain ways. So again, we have a VA representative, we have workers' comp representatives, and we have one-stop representatives. So that is what I mean by categorizing certain customers based on who they are and where they come from. So in this case, I believe he's just business. All right. And then representatives. So this is where oftentimes that you will see is that you will have people who are representatives. Okay. So again, there's people who are designated for the sales, and how this works is if you are or have commission based, right? And you tell your sales representative that you can receive 15% of all of the sales as long as you put your name on it, right? If you're going to be bringing in the customers, you could get a commission based on every customer you bring in. So in this case, this way we can be able to organize who brought who in and who, should get paid for whatever percentage we offer. So in this case, Mike Mazowski should be the representative for Mr. Tim Feng. All right. And county, Um, what is the county?
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. All right. So again, this is custom fields. So again, you can be able to create as many, sorry, not as many, up to 7 custom fields per person. Okay, so example here, let's say there's something that I find out about him that I know. For example, when you talk to your customers, do they have a wife? If they do, I would like to know that, right? So I would like to have that under there as well. Other things too is maybe they have pets, right? So you can have a pet name. Okay. What else information do you think they can have? They can have I guess hobbies. Okay. So go ahead.
Is it too personal to ask for their birthday so that you can mail birthday card, things like that, those special occasions like that, you know?
No, it is absolutely not, because that's a good thing to know, because oftentimes what happens when you sign up for, I don't know, um, any retail store out there, right? That's actually a very good one, a birth date. Okay, because oftentimes, like for example, right, I sign up for Bath and Body Works, right? When it comes my birthday, they send out a special $10 off birthday card to celebrate my birthday. So that's a very good custom field to have for your customers. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, so now that I've listed it here, okay, so maybe we can offer them a birthday discount for their celebration. Maybe they'll have a nice party, a big, huge one, and they want their photos to be taken. So that's a good one. All right, so again, spouse's name. Let's say it's Laura. I don't know. Laura Fang. Okay, and then pet name. Does he have a pet? Yes, it's going to be a dog named Lily. Okay. Any hobbies? Yeah, that's definitely something that you could offer, or know something about your customer. You could say he's into sports. Sports and fishing. So maybe he wants to take some photos out in the lake. Fishing, not fishes. Okay. And then birthday, I'm going to say it's May 10, 1987. Okay, so he's quite young. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and click either okay to complete his thing. Now, when we talk about jobs, okay, so this is more entailing when you are making purchases of something for someone. So when we talk about chapter 9, billable time and expenses, we'll talk about what a job entails. So if you guys kind of questioning, why am I buying this for a specific customer? That's exactly what chapter 9 is all about. It's all about utilizing and maximizing the customer job and how to bill them for it. So I'm going to go ahead and not talk about that until we get to chapter 9. Okay? So now that we've filled out all the information, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So of course, since I've already pressed enter already, his name is there, and now I have a new customer, Mr. Tim Fang, and his account balance is 0. Okay? So that's how you create a customer. All right? Any questions? It's exactly identical to vendor, and how we filled it out was in a form. We know we get pieces of information and we just fill it in. No questions?
No, ma'am.
Not so far.
Okay, good. All right, so sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy, but I'm just going to keep scrolling until I get to the next section that I need to talk to you guys about. Okay? All right, now that we've set up our customer, the next thing that we're going to be dealing with is going to be how to record a sale. Okay, so the first one here is right here, pretty straightforward. This how to record a sale. So again, I've talked about this earlier in the very beginning of the chapter. We have 2 types of ways you can enter in a sales transaction, right? Your sales receipt's going to be dealing with people where they're customers who pay at time of the transaction. So in this case, let's go ahead and see what it's like to create a sales receipt. Okay? So again, let's go ahead and explore. First, let's explore the options that you can do when it comes to doing a sales receipt. Okay? So again, first things first, as always, is you can be able to enter in a sales receipt right here on the home page. Right here, create sales receipt. Okay? Second way you could do it is you could go up here to the home page, to the menu bar under customers, and you have enter sales receipts. Okay? For the icon bar, as we know, we saw it in the income tracker, right? You can either go to the income tracker or you can actually go to the customer center and be able to do the transactions there, okay, on the icon bar. If I were to go to the customer center, okay, I can go all the way at the top of here and I'd be able to go to my new transactions, sales receipt. Okay. I could also right click on somebody and be able to create a sales receipt as well. Let me find it. Create estimates, receive payments. For here, enter sales receipts. Okay. You can also, click on their profile and be able to go to manage transactions and be able to create a sales receipt here. Okay. So that right there, there's 3 ways in the customer center. There's 1 way in the income tracker, and there's another way on the home page, and then the last one is going to be on the menu bar itself in the customer section. Okay, so again, those are all the ways that you can enter in a sales receipt. Okay,
There's a total of 5?
6. There's 3 once you get to the customer center, 1 on the home page, 1 on the menu bar, and 1 on the income tracker. Okay. All right. So those are the 6 ways you can enter in a sales receipt. Now, of course, if there's 2 ways if there's 2 types of customers, right? You can imagine that entering an invoice is going to be all the same ways. And yes, it is all the same ways. So notice that if you could do 1 transaction, you're going to be able to do all of them are the same exact way when it applies to every other transaction. Okay? So again, that's exploring how you can enter in a sales receipt. So of course, I'm going to go ahead and just use the home page since I'm already here. Even though I was on the customer center, I accidentally closed it out. So here I am, sales receipt. So first things first is, who is my customer? Okay, so here I should be on page, let me see. You should be on page 40, page 40. Okay. Okay, so we're going to create a sales receipt. I'm sorry, guys. So you guys can create a sales receipt here. So let's see who we're going to create the sales receipt for. So I have Jerry Perez. Okay. So again, when you are going to be typing in your customers, it's always going to be for last name first and first name last. Okay, so again, it's going to be Perez, comma, Jerry. Okay, now as you can see, when I type this in, he doesn't exist in my list of customers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick add. All right, you don't need to fill this information as we saw before, right? You can edit the information anytime. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So there you go. Okay, well that was very weird. So let's type that in again. Okay, so Perez Jerry, quick add. Okay, so I guess I have to actually add his name in here. So I'm going to assume his full name is Mr. First name is Jerry. I don't know why I didn't recognize that. Jerry, and his last name is Perez. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now he appears in my list. Jerry Perez. Okay. Class. I believe he's San Jose.
Yes.
And then here, we'll talk about this, I believe, in the next section. When you're creating your sales form, in this case, I have daily sales summary, but I don't want that, so I'm just going to use the standard one that they gave me, the custom one. Okay. Now, the next thing is, now this is where I'm going to be breaking down on what the transaction was, how did it happen, and how did he pay. So in this case, the date that this transaction happened was, I believe, sometime in January of 2019. Can someone confirm? 27 of January?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, the sales number, because this is my first transaction, okay? It really isn't. But you can make up whatever number that you would like in order for you to associate or, recall or keep track of your sales, okay? So in this case, general rule of thumb is you generally would want to do maybe the year and the sales number. This is sales receipt number 1, okay? That's usually what you should do, okay? Now, he's going to pay by check. What check number did he give us? 2459. 3459. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what his total expenses was. Okay, so for the items that he purchased, I believe he purchased
Okay, boy.
an outdoor photo. Outdoor photo session. And I believe he got 3 of those. Okay. And I believe he also got a premium photo package too. Right? And I think he got 2 of them. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So every time I enter in a quantity, notice what happens here. It automatically calculates for me. So I don't have to do all that jazz where I have to calculate everything. Okay. Now notice that because the first one, as we all know, it's a service. And oftentimes you don't charge your customers tax based on a service. Service is one rate and one standard rate because the assumption is that with service, you can get tips on top of that. Okay? So that is why we don't have tax. Okay? It's a service. Right? So then, but we sold a product to Mr. Jerry Perez, so therefore we do need to tax him on that. Right? So here we have his grand total of $455 even. Now that's because we haven't even talked about the tax yet. In this case, I believe he is taxed at the Santa Clara. All right? Once I do that, boom, I hit him with a tax of 8.25%. All right? So again, when we talked about taxes, right? Tax items. When you tax people, it depends on what location, what city they belong to, and what state they belong to. If they belong out of state, you need to charge them for whatever state they belong into. So as you can see, there is an out of state and it's 0. That's actually inaccurate. It has to be for whatever state that they belong to. Okay, so I'm gonna go change it back to Santa Clara. So there you go. So now his invoice went up, right? And then lastly, we want to send a customer a message. So I'm going to say thank you for your business. Now, see, this is a pre-made invoice that you could have, okay, or a message that you could place on anything in regards to your customer. So if I want to say, have a nice day, or thank you, or come back again, or, things like that, you can create the message however you like. You can add it right here, as you can see, add new. And how you can edit that, again, if you read the book, you can edit that by going to list and going to your customers and changing the customer message. All right, so you could, do something little nifty that is in regards to your company, right? If you have a slogan, you can say, thank you for your business, whatever slogan that you have. That could be something that you can place on all sales receipts and invoices. Okay, so in this case, I just want to say thank you for your business. Okay, and of course, memo here is going to be outdoor photo session and 2 premium packages. Okay, now it is very important that you fill out the memo. Reason being is because if you do send customer statements, okay, this is what's going to appear on their statement, okay? And we'll take a look about that tomorrow. Okay? We have tax, and then that's pretty much it. And that's what it looks like to fill out a sales form. Anything else that we can provide? Nothing. All right? That is all the information here. Then you're going to go ahead and click Save and Close. All right, and what does this message say? Okay, yes. Now it says that this because I've never associated a class to Jerry Perez. So definitely, yes, you want to make sure you save your changes. Okay. Now that I got the beep of approval, if I go to my customer center and I go ahead and find Mr. Jerry Perez, so P, Jerry Perez. Okay, I don't know why his name is like this. Here you go. Here's his sales form or sales receipt that he has done for us. So again, it's always good information if we can try to collect our, you know, client's name as they give us payments. Now, obviously, the hardest one is to keep track of the ones that give you cash, right? So those ones for whatever sales returns or whatever policy that you have, right? You're gonna have to just give them their money or look on their receipt and make sure that they're in that they made it within the return policy. All right, but this is also why you keep track of your cash customers, is because for any reason that they want to return a product because one is defective, two, they don't need it anymore, three, they just simply don't want it. It's always good to have customer satisfaction, especially when you're selling a product, okay? And you want to make sure that you want to keep them coming back. So that's why we have a sales receipt and a sales receipt number to make sure that we can identify if in case they do a receipt. Okay? So there you go. I'm sorry, a return. Yes.
Go ahead. This is just a quotation or estimate cost for the customer because I'm looking on this active. When you click the Jimmy Perez there, it shows balance total 0, whereas the rest have some have balances. Is that when you input only when they pay?
Mr. Jerry Perez paid us with a check. He doesn't owe us anything.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? So all your cash people, right? If they don't, you can utilize both invoice and sales receipt. Maybe they'll pay right now because they have the cash, or maybe they'll say, I'm nowhere near you, just bill me, right? A customer can be able to be having both sales receipts and invoices. Now, Mr. Bob Mason down here, right, he owes us a lot of money because we sent him 2 invoices already. He has not paid me 1 dime. So that's the difference between this, the customer center is this right here, these balances right here is your accounts receivable. Okay? Mr. Jerry Perez paid us the minute he had his service done. He paid at the date of transaction. Okay? And that's why he has 0. Right? So any questions in filling out a sales receipt?
None on this end.
Okay. So now that we've created a sales receipt for Mr. Jerry Perez, we recognize that he paid us. So again, we'll talk about where the money goes afterwards, right? So here the book tells you about the undeposited funds. Now, if I look at my QuickBooks, right, and I go to my home page and I follow my line of transactions, since I've entered in a sales receipt and I automatically receive the cash, that check is still in my hands. You need to physically go to the bank and deposit all of that in all that cash and all those checks that you receive. Now, of course, general rule of thumb is you don't want to make 20 stops to the bank every single time you receive a check. Usually, that's good business because at least you know you're aware of when you receive the check and you are doing diligence by making sure you get that money right away. But what's going to happen is if you follow this line of transaction, you have this little thing called record deposits. Once you do that, you see here that you have this check right here from a receipt from Mr. Jerry Perez. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because I don't want to do the deposits just yet. I'm going to wait till I have a lot more things because I'm going to show you what happens when you typically combine all your checks and all your cash and all etc. your payments, okay? So we'll talk about undeposited funds in a minute, okay? So here, this pretty much says that if you like, there are options where you can actually set up an undeposited funds account. Again, it's not necessary just because either way, at the end of the day, you still have to transfer all the money that are in your deposit, all your undeposited funds, and actually put it into the bank. So, because of my pending transaction, right, I received my check. But, of course, if I received my check, my checking account does not show that I received that money. Because, again, you need to physically go to the bank and you need to physically get that money and place it into the bank. You cannot assume that QuickBooks will do it for you, right? It's also pretty common sense. You collect the money, but it's actually in your hands. You have to physically go to the bank in order for you to make the deposit, right? As you can see, my checking account, it did not increase because I have pending money that is waiting to be deposited, okay? And we'll take a look at this in a second. So here I have $11,562 right now in my bank account. Okay? And we'll talk about this again when we finish all of our receipts and invoices and receiving our payments. All right? So that's what happens when you do actually receive a payment, whether it's through a sales receipt or through an invoice. It's going to be located here in your either it's called undeposited funds or it's also called this right here, record deposits. All right, so now that I finished that section, the next section is I'm going to start creating an invoice. So let's skip all this. So here we go, page 46 for you guys, okay? So again, creating an invoice, it's the same exact 6 different ways you can enter in an invoice. You could do it on the home page. You could do it on the menu bar. Excuse me. Here, you go to customers and you can create customers and you can go ahead and create invoices. Same thing on the income trackers we saw earlier. Okay. And if we go to the customer center, of course, you can go to new transaction, invoices. Okay. Same thing. I think the person I am doing is going to be Bob Mason. I can right click him and be able to create an invoice for Mr. Bob Mason. So I've created estimates, pay, deposits, statements, create invoices right here, right? I can also go to manage transactions and be able to do invoices from here as well. So because I'm going to be dealing with Mr. Bob Mason, okay, so again, that was 6 different ways. The customer center has 3, home page is 4, menu bar is 5, income tracker is 6. Okay, so since I'm already here, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what's going to happen is, I have something new in here. Okay, cool. So once I've clicked Bob Mason, right, as you can see, once I leave that, all his information is going to be filled in. And I believe Bob Mason is also a San Jose. Okay, so again, let's see what day I'm going to be billing Mr. Bob Mason for. Okay, so I guess I'm billing him for that same day. So notice that in my reference number or my PO number, okay, or invoice number, it shows that it's going to be 2019-206, meaning I've already created a sequence that I'm already using. So this is going to be my 6th invoice that I am creating. Now, of course, you can change this at any given time. If you want to make it updated to 2020, you may do so. And the best way to keep track of your invoices is obviously start with a number that's easy to remember. Okay, so again, QuickBooks will just do it for you. But you also want to make sure that it's associated to your company, like what makes it significant. Okay. Then let's see, because I've already filled out his form prior, Mr. Bob Mason, you're going to see that his information for the terms are there. Mike Mazowski is his representative. And then you have the discount date and you have the actual due date. All right. None of these matter. Okay. For FOB, WA, we don't really care for this one. Okay. But so those are extra information in case you want to need that. Now, if Mr. Bob Mason has ordered something from you, typically you would have a purchase order number, but in this case, I believe we have to leave it blank because he did not purchase this prior. Okay? So let's talk about the things that he bought from us. What are the items that he bought?
Indoor photo session.
Indoor?
Indoor photo session.
Okay. So because, again, I've created these items prior, I have it right here. So it's easy to fill. Indoor photo session. And what happens is, boom, it starts filling out all the information in regards to this. So I charge my customers $95 for every hour that I have for my photo session. And as you can see, my class starts filling in, taxes service. Okay, so yes, we have San Jose. Okay, as his class. All right, 95 here and 95 there. Okay, how many hours of the indoor photo session did Mr. Bob Mason have?
1 hour.
Just one?
One.
All right. Anything else? I think he has a standard photo package as well. Standard. So as you go here, standard photo package, and you said he only got one. All right, so again, what's going to happen is, boom, all of my stuff is aligned and I get my totals here, right? So he's automatically going to be Santa Clara taxed. So this is his amount that he owes is going to be 146. That doesn't look right. It's supposed to be 400 and something. How many indoor photo sessions did he have?
One. It is the right actually. 154.54. 154.54.
All right then. Okay. So again, thank you for your business. Okay. Of course, he's being taxed and everything is in here already. Now, One thing that I wanted to talk about to you is that because we're sending an invoice, you're also going to get a little report on the right side of his history. So as you can see here, he owes us right now $11.77 right now. And he has a total of 2 pending invoices. So with that being said, here are his invoices that he has that we've sent already. So we sent one in December, and we sent one to him in January, on January 9th. So here are the 2 pending things. Oh, so here's the 401. So here are the pending transactions that he still has to pay, that he still owes us. So this is just so that you can keep track of your customers, saying, hey, you've ordered so many things from me, but you haven't paid me yet. So you want to also be very aware of this, okay? That he's making his payments and that he's not just buying your service and asking you to invoice him and not paying. Okay, so that's very important that you see here. Okay? But that's okay, because the next section is he's actually going to make a payment. So here I am done with Mr. Bob Mason. My invoice is done. Invoice 106. Date is complete. Tax is there. I will go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay? Straightforward invoices, sales receipts, they're identical to each other. All you got to do is fill out the information and boom. Okay? So here you go. I'm right now looking at Bob Mason. He has 3 total invoices pending. Okay? Okay. So now that we've completed that, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Okay? So I believe the next one that we're going to be looking is, well, what happens if we want to do additional calculations? So this is actually an important thing that you should know, especially if you give discounts, all right? Or for example, you have a store-wide discount. This is very, very useful when you're billing your customers or when you're billing your client. You're billing your customers or you're doing sales receipts. That's what I meant. So in this case, I'm going to show you by building another invoice that uses preset calculations, all right? So here we're going to create another invoice, okay? And we're going to be doing for Wilson Sarah, okay, for Anderson Wedding. So since I'm already in my little customer center already, I'm going to identify Anderson Wedding. And here we go. I have Wilson and Sarah right here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click them. And I'm going to go ahead and create an invoice. Okay. Create invoice. So here I am. Here's my invoice. Again, they belong to San Jose. And of course, their information is filled in automatically. All right. So what they purchased from me is going to be, I believe they bought a camera from us.
Camera
Mhm.
SR32.
And I believe they only bought one, right? They bought one of everything.
3.
Oh, they bought 3 cameras. All right. Camera. So again, here that's an item I have. And they also bought 1 lens. Oh, okay. 1 lens. All right. Now, there are 2 things that you need to do in order to do this correctly. First one is you need to create a couple line items in your items list, which we talked about in chapter 7. You need to create a subtotal item, okay? And then the second one is you need to create your discount item. Okay? Now the rule here is if you just apply your discount item, I'll go ahead and show you. So let's say I do my discount, right? Discount. And here I have my 10% discount. If I were to go ahead and do that, what happens is, boom, it's saying I only have a discount for $32.50. Now notice this. Where does this 10% come from?
The lens.
It only comes from the lens. Okay? So that's what QuickBooks does is if you are planning to do a discount, it's going to only discount the line above it. Okay? It will not discount the whole thing. Now, of course, with especially because this is products, it's different when it applies to services, right? Because yes, you can take discounts off services, but in this case, I'm only taking a discount off the lens. But that's not what I want. I want to give my customer, obviously, the discount for everything. So what's going to happen is I'm going to actually have to create a new line. And let me go ahead and clear that out. So I need to create an item called subtotal. And what this does is it doesn't take away, it doesn't do anything. What it does is it actually gives you a grand total of how much the bill is right now. Okay? So right now the bill is for $2,412. Okay? So once I've entered in my subtotal item, that's when I can go ahead and be able to apply my discount item for 10%. And now it's showing me 10% is going to be negative $241. So just by looking at that small difference, you just had a $200 difference in the discount. All right. One was because you only discounted the line above. If you add a subtotal, you will discount all the items. So you can have as many items as you want in one whole entire list. Make sure you have that subtotal button and then go ahead and apply your discount. Okay, so this is identical to many sales receipts that you see in the store when you go and go to any retail store, right? And they have a sale. This is what they typically do, and this is what they typically write on there. They usually have all of your purchases at regular price. They subtotal it at the very bottom, and then they apply the discount. Okay. Other types of receipts will apply the discount throughout every single item. So you could see the regular price item, then the discount applied, and the minus right under it. Okay, so either or, you are receiving a discount for all the items that apply. Okay, and you need to have the subtotal before you can do everything. Okay, so that's how you do this one.
What if it's only referred to one item? Say, for example, the camera, the mere fact that the customer bought 3 items of that, and you're giving a 10%. Can you put that discount after before you enter the lens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. So you're not getting a discount on the lens?
No.
Okay, then
So,
yes.
okay.
Yes. If you would like, let's say the lens only the cameras have a sale today, then yes, you can apply the discount right under the lens. Right under the camera, and then do the lens, and it won't count the lens. So yes, you can do it that way as well. If you're only applying a discount for just that item, yes. So again, it's applied to any item. Okay, maybe your camera lenses are 40% off, and maybe your camera is 40% off and your lenses are 15% off. Yes, you can apply as many line items as you want, and you can stagger them, right? Because that's how you can do. Yes, you can do that. And because when you apply the discount, it's only accordingly to the line above. So yes, as you can, yes, you can apply discounts to almost anything that you want. Okay, so again, thank you for your business. We have the proper tax Santa Clara. Okay, so here this person went from was it $2,400 now down to $2,300. Okay, so that's how you apply a discount. And I'm gonna go ahead and save and close. All right, make changes, yes. All right, so now I have Anderson Wedding. That is pretty, they owe us a lot. All right. So that's how you utilize that. Okay. So I believe the next part, sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy, I believe the next part is how we actually receive our payments. And guess what? It is now 10 o'clock and you guys are going to go on break. Okay. So with that being said, 10 o'clock, I'll give you guys 15-minute break. So please be back no later than 10:15.